You're listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I'm your host Nina, a mindful parenting coach and mum, here to help you go from overwhelmed and reactive to calm, confident and connected with your kids. This show is for parents who want to raise their children with more patience, less stress and a whole lot more joy. Because small shifts make a big impact and you can build the parenting life you've always wanted. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at Mindful Parenting Lifestyle, and don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Hello, lovely listener, and welcome back to Your Calm Parenting Path. Today, I'm chatting with the amazing Jess Gannaway, the founder and creative heart behind the Colour Cub Studios, a beautiful new arts and crafts space opening right here in Belmont, WA. Jess has this gift for helping families slow down, let go of perfection, and reconnect through the simple joy of creating with their hands. And if you've been thinking ahead to the school holidays, wondering how on earth you're going to keep your little minds engaged without burning yourself out, this conversation is going to feel like a deep breath. Jess brings so much wisdom about creativity, boredom, and letting go of that pressure to be the crafty parent. So settle in, lovely listener. I cannot wait for you to hear this one. Jess, thank you so much for joining me on Your Calm Parenting Path.
I'm so excited to be here. I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and having met you in person, find you to be such a lovely, calming presence around me. So I'm excited to be a part of what you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate those words. That's really kind. Jess, for anyone who hasn't met you yet, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Yeah, so I'm a mum of two little girls. My oldest daughter is Rose, and she's 7, turning 8, or 21, if you ask her. And my youngest daughter is Zoe, and she is 5, and she is also turning 21, if you ask her. She's
Lucky you.
full of sass and passion. So I became a mum in my early 30s, which is obviously the path that lots of us take. And I was working as a town planner or urban planner and landscape architect, and was doing that for sort of 15 years. And the burnout from that corporate life was just catching up with me, and I wasn't balancing my family life with my work life. And I felt like I was the one that was suffering because when you're trying to balance it all, you let go of something to keep hold of everything else. And I was letting go of myself. And I ended up being made redundant and using it as an opportunity to rethink. And here I am.
Oh, well done. So you've created this stunning new space, the Colour Club Studios in Belmont. What inspired you to bring this vision to life?
So a little bit of my background is that I have suffered is the right word, but not now, from eating disorders and undiagnosed OCD for a very, very long time. I think my first memory of having sort of disordered thinking around body, self and food is around 4 or 5, so very young.
Wow.
And it came about as I had this OCD. I didn't know what was going on. At 4 and 5, you don't know what's going on. And the only way I could find control in my life was to control food. And the bad thoughts that the OCD was causing in my head, the ruminating dark thoughts in my mind, trying to use food and self-thought and things like that to control those. So with that story and with that journey through recovery, which didn't really happen for me until I had Zoe, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Because it was becoming a mum that made me go, hang on, there's a cycle I need to break here. This is not my inheritance for my girls. So I need to heal myself first and then work on making sure that I don't pass this on.
Well done.
Yeah, so through that journey, I realized that that corporate life wasn't going to work for me forever, and actually the stress and that was not worth it. And that whole need to be perfect at work, perfect at home, and perfect in myself was something that I'm really passionate about challenging, because fundamentally that was what was at the heart of my issues,
Yeah.
the need to be perfect in every way. And I've always been a really creative, crafty person, and that I believe creativity is at the heart of challenging perfectionism.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so challenging perfectionism is really important to me because of this journey through recovery. And when I look at the places where I feel most free and able to experiment and take risks, it's in crafts and arts. I'm not a perfect drawer. In fact, I'm sometimes a horrible drawer. And coming from an industry like landscape architecture, where you're surrounded by these people who can do these amazing drawings, it was really hard for me to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not as good as you.
Yeah.
So taking that experience of freedom and experimentation in arts and crafts and giving it to the next generation of kids and giving them that safe space to say, I'm actually going to choose what I'm doing in here. I'm going to see how it changes, and I'm going to understand that it's safe for me to experiment. It's like them practicing for the outside world. So that's really what's the important message and at the heart of what I'm doing here, and every decision I'm making here is sort of working out and making sure that I'm giving everyone that will step through the door that opportunity.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps, Jess. This is incredible. What a great opportunity for children to come together and challenge that perfectionism. They don't have to have a perfect piece of art. And I think there's a lot of pressure on
Yeah.
kids these days to do everything right. I love that my kids read the Dav Pilkey books, Dogman and Captain Underpants.
Oh, yeah.
And in his books, he has a lot of spelling mistakes and he has a lot of words crossed out and then rewritten. And I think it's showing kids that they don't have to be perfect. And I love the idea of coming into your space. And as we're recording, I can see Jess's video and she's got a rainbow of different coloured paints sitting behind her. And I just love that kids can go in and say, I want that orange or I want that blue or whatever. And they can just make what they want without that pressure to be perfect. And I think from memory, you have a quote on the outside of your studio. Can you remind me what that quote says?
So it's a little drawing and it says how to be an artist. And the first box says, make some art. Does it look good? So ask your question. You make the art and then you ask yourself the question, does it look good? If the answer is yes, you go to the next box and it says, congratulations, you're an artist. If the answer is no, it doesn't look good, it still goes to the same box and says, congratulations, you're an artist.
Isn't that awesome?
And then the next box is make more art.
Oh, I love that.
Because at the end of the day, you actually don't have to like what you're making.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing something or getting something from the process of making it.
Yes.
I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. So if parents, if they're listening and they feel the pressure to make, for their kids to make things beautifully or to have a beautiful outcome at the end, how can we help them and also in turn their kids to embrace the joy of creating something rather than the outcome?
And this is probably the most important thing to me, and the thing that I as a parent struggled with the most when I first started doing arts and crafts with my two girls. And of the few people that I've had through the doors, given we're only a new studio, but I did run it from my home for a little while before opening the brick and mortar store. The thing that I noticed in parents the most is we're so invested in our children having these amazing experiences and producing art and crafts that is beautiful and that we can be proud of as well. I feel like there's like this need for the child to reflect your own perfection ideas around what arts and crafts is. And that's not true of everybody, of course, but I find that's true of a lot of people, and it was definitely true of me for a little while, and something that I still challenge. And so I have a few, not rules, but a few guidelines that I follow when I'm thinking about arts and crafts and what I do with kids. And the very first thing I always do is make it low stakes.
Yep.
You will not find me buying premium product arts and crafts supplies. My studio is full of cardboard. We don't do toilet rolls because it's unhygienic, but we do kitchen towel rolls.
Yeah, nice.
And milk top bottles and like basically rubbish, the things that we would throw out. And that means that if a child comes in and chooses a chooses something out of the sort of the wall of crafty products that we have to do, there's no pressure on them to make something wonderful, because at the end of the day, if it's not great, it was rubbish in the first place. So it
Yes.
doesn't really matter. And that's what we do at home. My little girls, last weekend, my husband was paving and he had all these off-carts. And my little girls went out and snuck and stole some of the off-carts. And I came back in and they were sitting and they were painting them into iPhones or something stupid like that. And that they've been playing with them all week. And I said to my husband, like, our kids just love rubbish.
Well, my boys will often say, "Can we make something with the recycling?" Because we have a recycling box.
100%.
And they will often take out the whole box. And last week they made crocodiles out of like a blueberry punnet and a toothpaste box and things like that. And then they play with it for a little while and then it just ends up in the recycling again because they don't play with it for too long. And I love that idea. And I'm thinking, it doesn't really look like a crocodile, but, I don't need to say that out loud.
No.
I could just embrace their imagination.
No, to them, it's a crocodile.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's probably what a recommendation I would make for any parents that are wanting to set up a few things for their kids to work with over the school holidays is put a box. I have a little 3-tiered IKEA trolley in the kids' toy room in our study, but you can just grab a little box. Don't buy anything new. It can be a box that you already have.
Yep.
And start collecting your interesting rubbish.
Mm.
Things like bubble wrap, interesting containers, interesting packaging. If you have birthday parties, save the ribbons, save the paper. Keep it all in this box so it doesn't overwhelm you and your house. And that also sets a limit on how much rubbish you're going to collect.
Yes, very good.
And put some sticky tape, a stick of glue, some double-sided tape and some scissors that you're comfortable. And if your kids are old enough and you're comfortable with it, even a hot glue gun, a low temp hot glue gun. They're pretty great. I let my 6-year-old use a low temp one and she's learnt over time. She's definitely had a few little finger burns, but she's learnt over time to be really careful with it. And I just have that box available for my kids at all times. I also have a little bit of paint in there because I'm comfortable with paint being inside my house. And the kids know that if they want to make something, they can just go to that box. It's cost me next to nothing to set up. And they can just create with it.
Yeah, I really love that idea, making it almost like a station in the house that they can go to when they're ready to get creative and there's no pressure to do it or to not do it.
Yeah, we call it our crafty cart. So
nice.
Because it's a trolley and they say and it can wheel around the house. So if they want to create in front of the TV, because we are a screens family, they can sit and potter about, or if they want to take it to their room for some quiet time or alone time.
Oh, I love that.
Or if they want to follow me into the bathroom while I'm having a shower, they bring it in there. They take it everywhere.
It goes around the house. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you talk a lot about helping children and parents reconnect through creativity. Why do you think creativity is so important in supporting children's emotional well-being?
So I think creativity is a really important way for us to help our children develop three of the elements of a really solid emotional foundation. Because at the end of the day, I'm always reminding myself that I'm not raising children forever. I'm actually raising functional adults.
Yes.
So I always try and remember what I'm doing, that at the end of the day, they're going to be adults. So the first thing that it gives them is autonomy. So the whole I get to make choices. Our kids live in a world, they go to school, we are their parents, where we make so many choices for them.
True.
Creativity is one of those spaces where they can make their own choices themselves. So from as little as what color they're using, how big should I make this circle? Should I do a line here or should I do a line here? When the artwork is finished, that's all their choice. And that's a really good skill to give them that sort of intrinsic motivation. So
fantastic.
Be more curious and invested and all of that sort of thing. The second thing that it gives them is agency. So my choices that I'm making actually matter and affect the world. So a good example of that is if I mix blue and red, if I choose to mix blue and red, the outcome is going to be purple. If I put a little bit more blue in, the color of purple is going to change. If I put a little bit more red in, it's going to be different. So I can create change and I can have effect on the world and the world around me, which is so cool. And I mean, who would have thought just a bit of colour mixing can help them develop
Yep.
that skill set? But it does.
Amazing.
And the most important thing for me is I trust myself to try. So confidence. So I have permission in my creativity and my space to try things that aren't going to work. I don't always need to have a perfect outcome. I can take a risk. I can see if I glue this on with this glue, will it stick to my cardboard crocodile or will it fall off? And okay, if it fell off, maybe I'll try a different glue. So it gives them that knowledge that making mistakes isn't a dangerous thing. It's actually a normal and expected part of our life and
Mm.
often leads us down really beautiful paths that we weren't thinking that we were going to take. So yeah, it's about messing up and realizing that it's still okay.
Oh, I love that. What a great way to look at creativity.
I had this birthday party yesterday, actually, and it was a little 5-year-old birthday party, a gorgeous little girl, and she had one of her friends from, I think, daycare come in, and he was not keen on the idea of a pink fairy wand, but obviously I was, choose whatever color you want, and he chose black and yellow. And his beautiful mum was sitting behind him, and I could see as soon as I put the black on the palette, she was going, oh my God, what is he doing? What is he doing? Why black? And then he started to mix the black and the yellow together and it turned this putrid green color. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I do want to choose another color. And she was a lovely mum and she was so engaged with her child. But I actually said to her, just let it go. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't matter. And he ended up turning his wand into a spooky wand. And he came out the back with me and we found him Halloween sparkles and black
Oh,
ribbons and like he chose really smoky dark gems on it. And he, at the end of the day, had the coolest wand out of everyone because he had just like
yes.
followed his own intuition and instead of doing pink and purple and blue like all the other kids had chosen to do, he went black. And I said to the mum, these are my favorite moments. Like
Yeah.
that nervousness to let him try and follow his own instinct at the start. And then look how proud he is. Look how
Yeah.
chuffed he is with his little spooky wand. And it was really cool.
And that's just gorgeous, letting him do what he wanted to do without interfering.
Yeah.
And as you said, giving him that agency, that autonomy, and that, trying
Mm-hmm.
something new. And even though it was different than what the rest of the group were doing, it was what he wanted to do. And he was allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And he would be so proud of that. And he will be talking about that wand for a long time, showing it to people, playing with it.
I'm still talking about that wand.
Yeah. So true.
I'm proud of him. Yeah.
And I think that's really important for us to take a step back and to not, and we've mentioned this already, I know, but to let our kids focus and enjoy the process rather than the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard as a parent, especially when you're going to something like a paid art class, to not sit next to them and tell them
Yep.
and take that agency and that choice away. But I always like to remind my parents, one, we talk about how to speak to your child about artwork and how we can change how we speak to them about doing artwork.
Excellent.
And that helps us sort of feel the change ourselves. And then also, two, you're actually not paying for the artwork, you're paying for the process. That's the most important part of
Yes.
being here today. Even if it is the most beautiful cardboard collage, you're going to throw it away in 6 to 12 months anyway. Even if it makes the fridge, it will come off the fridge eventually. What won't what won't come off the fridge is giving your child that confidence and that emotional development.
Jess, that's gorgeous. Are you happy to share what are some of those things that you tell parents about talking about your child's art? Because I think that would be really interesting for listeners.
Yeah, so I've had to train myself to do this and it's really hard and I still don't get it right. I'm not perfect at this. But I never compliment the child's product.
Yeah.
So, for example, with that spooky wand, I didn't say, oh my gosh, that is the most beautiful black wand I've ever seen, or, oh wow, look how gorgeous your wand is. I said to him, what made you choose black? What a wonderful, like, how cool is that? And he said, oh,
Yeah.
I just wanted to try it. And then that engaged the conversation. And then I said, oh, and what are you going to use it for? So for me,
Mm.
it's not, we try not to compliment or talk about how beautiful something is or how wonderful the product is, we ask them, why did you choose that? Or,
Mm,
oh, if you put a bit more yellow in with that black, is it going to go greener? So
mm.
push them to be a bit more risky and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I 100% also do say, oh, wow, that's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
of
comes out
course.
because I look at it and I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm so chuffed with you. I'm chuffed with what you've made for you. But I absolutely try and focus on asking them questions about the choices that they're making, encouraging them in some way or form to experiment more.
Mm.
And then also, I love to ask them at the end what part they're the most proud of.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I love to say, "Oh, what's your favorite part?" So it's not that obvious what I'm doing. What's your favorite part? What did you like doing the best?
Mm.
So that actually they decide what's the best part about their artwork.
Yeah.
They're not looking for me to decide for them. And that's that whole listening to your own voice for permission to feel proud.
Oh, yeah. And I'm wondering, do you also, so if they've tried to make something and say it hasn't worked or they've had a bit of struggles, would you comment on the effort that they put in? Like, I saw you tried really hard when you made that.
Absolutely.
I loved seeing you work so hard, that kind of comments as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I've actually been working this is so sad. I actually want to give it a little name in our studio, and I haven't landed on the name. Some of the so I've been talking this through with friends, and some of the names we've come up with are quite lame. But actually naming a mistake in a really positive way. So not saying it's a failure or a mistake, but it's like the one we landed on. It's a glistening,
It's a
which
glistening.
it's not going to be that. But basically identifying with the child that, hey, this hasn't worked out,
Yeah.
but it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing because one, we learned something from it.
Yep.
So we learned that that glue doesn't work on that cardboard crocodile. And two, it's not the end of the world. We can keep
Mm.
going. We can bounce back, Nina.
We can bounce back. Yeah. I talk a lot about bouncing back
Yes,
with children.
you do. So yeah, we can bounce back and we can try again.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, for parents out there that aren't crafty, we've talked about the fact that kids, we don't focus on the product, we focus on the process. And I guess it's giving ourselves permission as well, because if we're not crafty mums, or if we don't like the mess that might come with craft,
Yeah.
can you talk to this? What do we say to parents who feel guilty about not having a creative spark or kind of feel completely stressed and overwhelmed at the thought of letting kids go nuts with crafts in their home over the school holidays, for example?
Yeah, 100%. I would say every second mum I meet says, "Oh, I'm not a crafty mum. I'm not a slime mum. I'm not a Play-Doh mum. I'm not a glitter
Yeah.
mum." And I'm like, yes, I get that. And I actually think you're uniquely placed better than those parents that are crafty parents to demonstrate this and model this behavior
Yeah.
in a stronger way. Because by you, and you don't always have to sit down with your child and craft, that's not the goal. But
Yeah.
by you sitting down and doing an arts and crafts as a self-declared non-artsy, craftsy person and doing a terrible job of it,
Mm.
you are showing your child that it's okay to have a go.
Yeah.
And you are literally embracing everything I'm about of it's not about the product being perfect, it's about enjoying the process.
Mm.
So if you are able to sit down with your child and show them as this is something that I'm intimidated by or something I don't love doing or don't think that I'm good at, but I'm willing to sit down and take the risk here to have a go with you, that's
Mm.
such a powerful message.
So powerful.
So I think, yeah, reframe it in your mind.
Mm.
But on that note, the overwhelm of craft in your house and the mess that it can make, you cannot deny that. It's like I uh, I actually don't allow glitter in my house.
Yep.
I only have it at the studio. I am a self-declared non-glitter mum, and I don't love using it in the studio because it just gets on everything. But I have a few tools in my house that I use that I'd love to share with your listeners, if that's
Please.
okay, that have
Yeah.
made a huge difference. And I've had to think about, obviously I'm not like affiliated with the product at all, but I use something called a crafty pod. And essentially what it is a pop-up play space. They have similar pop-up ball pits, but a smaller size. And my girls know when they're doing messy craft, they get out this pop-up craft pod. It's basically just like a playpen
Okay.
that's all covered in. What I can do is, Nina, I'll send you a photo of the state of my play pod, my crafty pod, and you can see just how well used it gets.
We can put that in the show notes.
Yeah, and basically it contains the mess. It sets a boundary for where the craft can go in the house. It protects my floors because it catches all the paint.
Perfect.
And if they're doing something with like little tiny little tiny beads or
little pom-poms.
gems or stickers or whatever, at the end of the day, I lift it up and I shake it into the bin. I take out what I want to save and I
Yeah.
shake it into the bin. So it has made a huge difference to how we craft in the house. So with the crafty cart,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like my number one recommendation for parents that want to do more craft at home. Set boundaries for where you're comfortable for it to happen in the house. And that way you won't find glitter under your bed sheets and stuff.
Or all over the dinner table when you're trying to eat dinner, like I get frustrated when the boys have been writing comics and I go to sit down and my whole table is covered in sheets of paper with drawings on it, which is amazing, but annoying when I want to put my plate down. Yeah, so I love that idea of having a crafty pop-up space.
Yeah. Another little tool that we use is those plastic tray tables from IKEA that fold in and out so I can pack them away. We don't have a big house, so we can't afford to have lots of big separate tables for craft and stuff like that.
Yep.
So they each have a tray table that's on legs so that they can sit on the floor in the crafty pod, put their tray table down, and they've got a hard surface.
Fantastic.
So if they're doing things like drawing with Sharpie pens and stuff like that, it's not going to go on my table. It's going to go on their little tray table and it doesn't matter.
And I think what we might do, Jess, if we can, is to pop some links in the show notes for some of these items so that people can really see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be really helpful too.
Definitely.
Any other tips?
My only other tip is, we've talked already about the little sort of tinker box of rubbish.
Yep. Love it.
Having those basics available and making sure you've got scissors, glue and sticky tape, and if you can, double-sided tape available for your child. If you're comfortable with paint, have a little bit of paint. But I guess my only other tip would be, because often crafting gets messy. So if your child is the kind of child that wears a lot of really nice clothes and things like that and you're worried about them getting messy.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a really great tip, but my children craft in the nude.
Nice.
They're still little enough to craft in the nude.
Yep.
But they also have clothes that they know that if they're doing craft stuff, like we don't have aprons or anything like that, because I think sometimes the process of putting on the apron, getting the craft pot out, getting the crafty cut can sometimes stop them from wanting to do that. So sometimes they know if the craft pot's out and they've put stuff in there that's messy, they just take their clothes off on the craft pot and jump in.
Oh, that's gold. And then they could just jump in the shower afterwards.
100%. I've lost times of the amount of times I've picked a child up out of the craft pot and carried them at arm's length to the shower and said, wash yourself. Yeah, but they also just have like T-shirts and stuff like that I don't care if they get messy or painty and stuff like that. And they know that especially the 7-year-old, as she's getting older, she's less and less likely to want to strip down to do painting.
And I guess if it is the school holidays, you can just dress them in those clothes from the get-go.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So they're in those clothes in the day. You're not going out anywhere and they can get changed if you need to go out. But if they're already in the clothes, it's going to make it a lot easier to minimise the mess on their clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot like, actually, and I'm only just thinking this out loud now. I follow a lovely lady, Dr. Kyla, and she does a lot of the kids' nutrition.
Yeah.
The whole premise around it's not your job to feed your child. It's your job as the parent to provide a plate of food that you're comfortable with them eating. It's their job to eat.
Yeah.
So I would apply that same principle to crafting. It's not your job to curate the craft.
Yes.
But what the important thing of what I'm trying to say is it's your job to provide the craft environment in a way that you're comfortable.
Yes.
And then let them craft within that. Set your boundaries.
I love that parallel.
Yeah. Yeah, I can I use the same sort of approach.
Yeah. No, I love that. So we've got our craft area, we've got our craft tools, we've got our craft clothes. Can you, just as to get parents going, can you give some examples of maybe one or two crafting activities that they might prompt their kids with to get them going? Because if kids aren't used to having all this autonomy, they might need a bit more like, why don't you try this or why don't you try this? What are some things that we can help them with to get them into that self-funded or self-autonomous creativity flow if they've never done that before? Okay. Let me just check my headphones. I was worried because it's converting the previous meeting, and I was worried if we started again, it would actually cancel that, but it's still going. So that's good.
Oh, did it work okay?
Yeah, it's still going. Yep. All good. Okay. So the question was some activities that parents can set up to help prompt kids into their creativity.
Yeah, I think what we're alluding to, or what we're talking about is actually quite important. I have one child that is very, very good at self-directed play. I have one child that won't do it unless you pull her teeth out. Like, she is not good at self-directed play. And I bet you can guess which birth order they're in. Definitely the oldest child that hates self-directed play, and it's the second child that is great at it.
Yep, I hear you there.
So I actually have to approach it in a certain way, and it's all about scaffolding. So essentially, it's about prompts and things like that. What I don't think we need to do as parents is create Instagram-worthy prompts for our child to craft to. Yep. You don't need to set up the beautiful messy trays, although they're amazing fun. You don't need to set up the beautiful curated nature crafts and stuff like that. You can keep it as simple as like doing a few little things like, for example, finish the picture. I'm sitting down with you for 5 minutes and I'm committing myself to that 5 minutes, and then I'm going to fade away once I think kid's engaged enough. So I might draw half a picture. It's kind of like, you remember that old TV show, Mr. Squiggle?
Yeah, love Mr. Squiggle.
Oh, God. Yeah, so it's kind of like playing Mr. Squiggle, right? So you draw a few lines or like a few shapes, and then the child finishes it.
Mm.
And then maybe they want to keep going and they get really engaged in drawing a more elaborate picture around that, and you fade out while they finish drawing it. And then they come and show you and whatnot. So you that's like a really easy prompt to do with minimal fuss.
Yep.
Another one is giving something like a 5-minute challenge.
Yeah.
So again, there's not the expectation on time and setup and things like that. So maybe you get out your Tinker box that you've set up with all your rubbish in it, or you get out your Lego box or whatever, or your blocks, and you both set a 5-minute challenge for both of you to build something that moves. Or let's do a 5-minute challenge. Can you build something taller than your hand? You know, just something really simple, something that they can see and touch and they understand depending on how old they are and what developmental stage they are.
Yeah, of course.
You both spend the 5 minutes making it to see what you create. And then if you notice your child becoming more and more engaged, you can fade off. So it's all about that slow fade off. I used to get really stuck in creating the really beautiful prompts. And I was like, I've got to, spend half an hour before they do this activity to set it up. And then they'd play it for 3 minutes and then walk away. And I'd be like, oh.
Yes, walk away.
Yeah. Because that's just natural for them to walk between things. So I try and do really low stakes prompts where it doesn't involve huge setup, huge time and thought. I mean, they are two things that I can do on the fly with no prep.
Yeah.
Because I've got paper and pens in my house, and I've got a box of Lego a drawer of Lego that I can open, and we can do that. And if your child is the kind of child that after you do the first challenge with the Lego says, let's do another one, ask them to make you a surprise one. Say, I just have to go do this thing. Can you build me something with only the blue blocks? I wonder what you can make.
Yeah.
And then go and do that thing and come back. So they know that you're still engaged in the play because you're coming back to the big surprise. And also you're coming back. They're not going to be left alone because my child has a lot of anxiety around that. So that's a way. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes she's like, absolutely no way. You are going to sit here with me and I'm going to draw something and you're going to color it in because that's what I want to do.
Yep.
And I will sometimes begrudgingly do that. Sometimes I won't.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. On other days, I can come back and she'll say, go away, I haven't finished. And I know at that point she's caught on to the being really invested in what she's doing and she's happy playing by herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole play Mr. Squiggle, do some challenges. The other thing that I really have found with my kids, and some parents will cringe at this, is stickers.
Yep.
So some parents hate stickers, and again, get yourself something like a crafty pod. Set a boundary about how you're comfortable.
Yep.
My girls have little books, and if I don't want them to paint or draw or get out the Sharpies or anything like that, I will give them stickers, and they're just little circles. They're like from the $2 shop or even Daiso, Daiso, the Japanese supermarket. It's like Japanese red dot.
Oh, cool. Yep.
They're in all sort of regional shopping centres. They have amazing sticker suppliers. Again, we can pop that in the notes of the show.
That'd be great.
Officeworks, Kmart. But to be honest, my main suppliers come from Daiso Officeworks because they have just basic shapes. And so we will use those basic sort of circles and squares and stars and love hearts to make collages. We do sticker collages. I'll provide you with some picture examples of what the girls have made with stickers. I find that's a really low stakes activity that doesn't make a huge amount of mess because you might have to peel one or two off the couch, but other than that, they're not going to be everywhere, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's also something I can chuck in my bag and they can do on the go. So they can do that at a restaurant.
Yeah, perfect.
And stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's so low damage.
Yeah, I love that. Craft on the go.
And they have a special book. They will happily, if I get a sticker stuff out, I don't need to prompt them anymore. I sat down and did it with the first few times with them, and now I don't have to. They will just go for it.
Oh, that is gold, Jess. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like this conversation has been so enriching, and I feel like I've learned a lot myself because I am a self-proclaimed non-crafty mum. But my boys are, and I can see, their creativity. They're wanting to get the recycling box out. They've always got the pencil box out, things like that.
Yeah.
And I really like your tips of the craft space to keep it contained. And I think that's definitely something that I'm going to put into my house. But as we get to the end of our discussion, unfortunately, we can't talk all day, as lovely as it would be.
I could talk forever.
I know. Are you able to share a little bit about what people can expect from your Colour Cub studios in Belmont, how they can work with you, different programs that you might have available, and how they book?
Yeah, I would love to. So the studio is called the Colour Club Studios. And essentially what we offer is weekly classes. We have half-term classes available at the moment because there's sort of only half the term left in the year.
Makes sense.
And then we move into school holiday workshops. So we've got lots of Christmas-themed workshops ready to book online at the moment.
Great.
And then I'll be posting up my January school holiday stuff in the next couple of days and then moving into next year's term classes. But essentially, you can either come in for a one-off event. So, for example, in our Christmas workshops, I've got big paper stars for the little ones that I'm going to hang and they're just going to paint them while they're hanging.
Great.
And take them home. Or we've got the more involved stuff. So for the older children, we're doing hand engraved brass ornaments and things like that. So
lovely.
Really quite project specific where they're learning a craft skill. And then with the younger years, I'm always focused on just exposing them to the different craft mediums. So paint, glue, all of those different things.
Awesome.
So that when they're a bit older, they understand them. And as they get older, it's about a specific skill. And often I try and do something that they can replicate at home if they wanted to.
Yeah, brilliant. And are the classes age? So you do different activities, but can you bring older kids and younger kids to the same session, or is it a session for younger kids, a session for older kids?
I do try and offer a range of sessions to provide a range of bases. But I'll tell you that Paper Star class, I had a mum come in and book 2 tickets, and she's like, I've actually booked the second ticket for myself.
Oh, gold.
Because she's like, I wanted to do it as well. And I was like, that is so good. So yes, as long
Yeah.
as they meet the minimum age range and it's just a
Yes.
guide
Yeah.
and you think they're capable of that skill, we're happy to have them. If they're a bit younger, so we do have babies classes and things like that, toddlers classes, which is all
Beautiful.
focused on not necessarily making a project, but experiencing arts and crafts. We ask that the parent stays with them, just because I can't look after 15 toddlers.
No.
Yeah, it would be my nightmare. Yes, so we do structure our classes in such a way that they're available to all different ages. We can join ages together and the child is supported in their developmental stages appropriately.
Oh, Jess, this is so exciting. I can't wait to bring my kids to your studios in Perth.
Yay!
How can people follow along on your journey? Where can they book? Tell us all your social handles and websites.
So my website is Colour Club Studios with an S, so www.colourclubstudios.com. And that has all the information on the classes and workshops and birthday party bookings and things like that. I am on Instagram. I'm learning Instagram.
Good job.
And my handle on Instagram is @Colour Club Studios.
Fantastic.
And we're also on Facebook as well. So if Facebook's your jam, we're on there as well.
Fantastic. Jess, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so great to hear about you and hear your wisdom. It was such a beautiful, grounding conversation. And lovely listener, I hope that you're walking away feeling a little lighter, a little more inspired, and maybe even a little more curious about how creativity can support your family over the summer. If you're here in Perth and your kids would adore a space to explore, play, create, and just be, make sure you check out the Colour Club Studios. Jess's new space in Belmont is absolutely gorgeous. You'll see lots of photos and videos and footage of how she set up the space on her Instagram. The classes she offers are really something special. So all the links that we've talked about will be in the show notes below. And if this episode has you thinking, yes, I need a Calm Summer this year as well, I'd love you to join me for my upcoming masterclass, The Calm Summer Blueprint. It's on the 3rd of December, and it's a gentle, practical session designed to help you prepare for the holidays so that you can feel grounded, organised, and connected before the chaos begins. And they'll be in the show notes as well.
Oh, Nina, I'm actually going to be coming along to your holiday workshop as well, just as a customer, because I love what you do, and I too want the tips about school holidays because we can never stop learning when we're parenting.
That's exactly right. So look, if the masterclass isn't as much as a draw card, Jess will be there too, so you can meet her too. Thank you, Jess. So as always, thank you, lovely listener, for spending time with me today. I see you and you're doing beautifully, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Your Calm Parenting Path. Thanks for listening to Your Calm Parenting Path. I am so glad you're here. And I hope this episode gave you something useful to take into your parenting journey. If you'd like to dive deeper, sign up to my mailing list at mindfulparentinglifestyle.com.au for more tips and insights, or book a free chat to learn how we can work together. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. I look forward to speaking with you next time on Your Calm Parenting Path.